Okay, here we go. So you asked for it. These are my settings for VR. I'm assuming you have the HP Reverb G2 as well, so these are my settings for the Reverb G2. If you have a Quest or something like that, I can't help you. I don't know any of those settings, but these are my settings, starting with the NVIDIA control panel. I'll just go over the things that I actually changed for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So anisotropic filtering is at 16 times. Then we go down to the CUDA GPUs to all. Low latency mode is ultra. Max frame rate is off. Let's see here. Open rendering GPU. Select the 4080. Power management mode is maximum performance. Preferred refresh rate. This is for my Elgato, so that's just for the recording. Anyway, application controlled for the refresh rate. It should say your monitor there, but it's saying my video capture card. Texture filtering and anisotropic sample optimizations are on. Texture filtering, negative level of detail bias is clamp. Texture filtering quality is on high performance. That's pretty important for the settings I'm using. Trilinear optimization is on. Threaded optimization is auto. Triple buffering is off. Vertical sync is off. And virtual reality pre-rendered frames is 1. Okay, so and for the Windows Mixed Reality runtime, 100% custom render scale, motion reprojection is at automatic. All right, and I'll go over the OpenXR toolkit settings in a second. But these are my settings for graphics right here. So just start with the PC real quick. But since I have a 1080p capture card, I'm doing all this all in 1080p for the 2D stuff. But you can pause the screen here if you want to take a look at these settings. Okay, so I'm using DirectX 11. And this is all for 2D anyway, so it's I keep everything low except for texture resolution. I leave that on high. Texture synthesis on ultra, because my VR settings, it's the same. Texture synthesis is ultra, and my texture resolution is on high. My clouds are on high, but everything else is ultra. And these settings, DLSS performance mode, on plus boost for low latency. Reprojection is off here because I'm turning it on in the toolkit. 100% level of detail, ultra terrain pre-caching and vector data, ultra buildings, trees and grass, 110% objects level of detail, high for volumetric clouds and texture resolution. Anisotropic filtering is off here because I turned it on in for the video card, so it'll just be on by default. Texture super sampling 6, synthesis ultra again, water waves are on high, shadow maps 1024 because I can't tell the difference. I keep these a little lower and I find a little bit better performance, but everything else is ultra except for light shafts because again I can't really tell too much of a difference. Alright, so there you go, those are my settings there, and once again those are my everything low or off except for texture resolution and texture synthesis on the PC side. And then I'll go into VR mode. Let's just load up something real quick here. Okay. Just load up a quick flight and we'll jump into VR, and then I'll hopefully be able to get my OpenXR toolkit settings on the Windows Mixed Reality Mirror. But we're gonna try it. We're still gonna stay in 2D mode for now. But we'll switch in a second. And I'm pretty sure the mirror picks up my my settings. I don't use the mirror to record videos because whatchamacallit, the frame rates just go to hell, even with the 4080. So anyway, let's get into this. Now, but I'm gonna have to switch to the mirror so you can see my settings here. Okay, so this is where I do the upscaling, is in the OpenXR toolkit. All right, so you can see the toolkit now. So right here I do the upscaling. Sharpening is on CAS 90%. All right, let's turn the frame rate on, actually, to see. And the other things I've changed, do a little shaking reduction. You may or may not need to use it. I only need to use it for a couple of different planes, but this is the most important one. I've overrid the resolution of the headset, and we're upscaling a ton. So 4000 by 3900 and change. You can be anywhere around here. It's not super precise, but around 4100 by 39 or 3800 would be fine. Locked motion reprojection is on, and it's unlocked because I usually jump between 31 and 45 frames a second, depending on my altitude and clouds and, you know, like all the other variables. These are my color settings. I find these are good for me, but it's all subjective. But that's pretty much it. Those are the only changes I've made to OpenXR, the toolkit, because since we're using a lower res image from Soup DLSS, but by using such a high resolution in the headset, we kind of offset the blurriness in the menus. So I don't know if you can see here. Let me get rid of the toolkit here. But if you can see, in this cockpit, I'm in the GC21 right now. And again, I'm getting 31 frames a second while recording using the mirrors. So the mirrors doesn't really work all that well when I'm recording. So, but if you can see now, I'm at 45 frames a second. Just sitting on the runway. But, you know, we can take off, and we'll try a quick flight. But the frame rates would be a lot better or more consistent if I wasn't recording and, you know, using the mirror. The mirror might be flipping the fuck out right now as well, so, because I saw it. Yeah, I was kind of watching it, and it looked like it was getting all wonky. But yeah, I'm getting 30 frames a second at the airport during takeoff. And again, your mileage will vary, but these are my best settings. Everything is super sharp and super clear in the headset, because again, you saw the resolution I'm rocking. It's 4000 by 3900. And when you figure the Reverb G2's resolution is 2160 by 2160, we're doubling it almost. And if you're using DLSS and in performance mode, you can maintain 30 frames a second with all ultra settings at super high resolution. So if I was using a much lower resolution, I would definitely go with either balanced or quality on DLSS. But since I'm using such high resolution, once again, it kind of makes up for it, because everything in my cockpit is super clear. I can read all the gauges. I'm getting smooth flight. 30 frames a second, and I have like scattered clouds on right now too. So, and I'm also recording, so usually right now around here I would be at around 45 frames a second with motion reprojection. Alright, so I'll just bring this back around, put it in for landing, and then end the video.
Area 01 acknowledged last transmission.
I've also turned off the high precision event timer in the device manager. As far as Windows optimizations, I'm assuming you have at least 32 gigs of RAM, because 32 gigs really helps.
Area 01, did you hear my last transmission?
Yeah. I am going way too fast for this landing, but we're gonna try it anyway. See if we can slow it down. Alright, so right there I still get the airport stutter, but it's not that bad. It's usually like 1 or 2 big stutters and then it's gone. And then you're fine. Depending on the airport as well.
Area 01 acknowledged last transmission.
Yeah, so again, these are my best settings. Everything is super sharp and super clear. With alright, granted motion reprojection, but still, I don't get the frame rates are high enough, like that the artifacts are minimal. And the resolution is so high, the image quality is great. I just got this plane too, so not an expert on it yet. But yeah, I mean, these settings, everything's fantastic. Everything works really well. It's not perfect, again, but it does